Hey, what's up? Knolly Williams here, and I've got my good friend, my brother from another mother, my health coach, and I should call you my healer as well. The master healer.
Healer, health coach, empowerment specialist, life transformation specialist.
Arttemis Kasane.
Yeah.
And you guys have seen him on a few other videos that I've done in the past, but it was really Artemis's heart to kind of, and he had a conversation with me that we need to share more with you about my own transformation and how I was able to go from crappy to happy.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys know that, and this is just review, and for you, I teach mindset, activities, people, systems, tools, money, accountability, and training. And then the four bodies: the spiritual body, the mental body, the physical body, and the emotional body. You already have this chart, there at home or there at your office. Make sure that you've printed this out, as I've already taught you in the past, and you have it, somewhere. As I was thinking about this, Arttemis, this morning, this whole chart, and actually you helped me develop this.
Yes.
You helped me create this.
Yeah.
I was thinking about my own journey, how I started, where I was before.
Yes.
What I would call the shift, and where I'm going.
Yeah.
I would say those are like the three different aspects.
So I'm going to be your interviewer, and I'm going to talk to you about where you were before you met me.
Gotcha.
The before.
So I'm not in the driver's seat.
I'm actually driving today, because this is a time to share with your audience how much you've healed and transformed in the physical, in the emotional, and the mental, that then also brings success, more clarity, more focus, more power in your business. And not just your health is transformed, but also your business is transformed, and there's definitely been a connection there.
Absolutely.
And so for those of you watching, if you're feeling fatigued, if you're going to coffee for stimulants, if you're feeling brain fog, if you don't feel like you have enough energy or will to succeed and thrive, this video is for you. Mm-hmm. This video is to really help you understand how you can achieve that success and power and clarity and greater focus, and have more juice in your battery to do the things you want to do to succeed.
Absolutely.
And thrive in your business, your family, and also to be a blessing to your community, as we are now doing in this video.
For sure. Yeah, so important to pay it forward.
Yeah, so this is a time for Knolly to be like really vulnerable.
Okay.
And share a little bit of your story. Talk about yourself. We met in 2016.
Yeah.
And it was summertime. And Matthew Lehman referred you and your wife.
Yeah, we're going to be hanging out next week with Matthew Lehman.
Matthew, at Funnel Hackers. So Matthew referred Josefina, your wife, to me to have an iris analysis, and that's a reading of the iris and the sclera. And I came in and did a reading for your wife, and I explained through my work all the causes of her issues. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people who've been labeled with diseases. The doctors are treating symptoms but not causes. Right. And through iris analysis and iridology, I was able to do a scan of your wife, look at what was causing her illness and disease, and lay out a roadmap for full healing and recovery. Mm-hmm. And since then, Josefina has reversed type 2 diabetes, lost about 40 pounds of stubborn fat, mm-hmm. And then she's also healed most of the pain in her body, and now she's mostly pain-free. Yeah. And before I did that reading, and your reading shortly after, where were you in your life, in your health? Like, what was going on in the before state?
Health-wise, I more or less was sort of in the passenger seat of my wife. And my wife she's always been on a journey of health. She's always strived to be healthy. She's always sought out health, should I call them health gurus?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, health gurus, teachers.
Teachers that could share health knowledge through books, seminars, audios, videos, and live. Any way that she could find that information, she was always attracted to it. Even though she didn't have a lot of super health issues until later. Mm-hmm. Even earlier in our marriage, she was very health conscious. Mm-hmm. I, on the other hand, was never that way.
You ate whatever you want.
Yeah, I ate whatever I wanted. Yeah, and to a degree, my mom was sort of that way. My mom would go to the farmer's market. She would buy the organic, growing up, Mm-hmm. But then on the other side of the spectrum, she was really big into the junk food, you know. So she was a junk food junkie and a health nut rolled into one thing. And so I didn't, I was kind of ambivalent, if you will, about the whole health thing. I'm healthy enough. It doesn't, you know, I don't have any aches and pains.
You were just apathetic. You
Very
didn't care.
apathetic. I was in apathy completely.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter to me one way or another. I could have a cheeseburger, or I could have you know, a protein shake, or I could have a green drink. It was all the same.
Yeah. You just didn't care. You didn't really.
I didn't really care.
You didn't have any motivation.
No.
Yeah.
Or goals.
Or goals
in that area
around your physical health.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so, when I was doing his reading for his wife, he came out to say hi, and he sat down, and I started explaining to him everything I saw in the iris analysis.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see light bulbs going off. Like, oh, wait a minute, there's more to this than meets the eye. And it's also time maybe for me to have a reading.
Right.
And so you scheduled a session shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
At the time, you didn't have motivation. You didn't have direction to do anything for your physical body.
No.
You were all just very intellectual.
Absolutely.
You were just, everything was coming from mind.
Yeah.
But the body and the emotional body just didn't really matter.
Right.
Yeah. And you can't achieve success without the four bodies coming into alignment. Yeah. That's why Knolly puts it, show up your image again.
Yeah. And I never realized this myself. So the spiritual body, the mental body, the physical body, and the emotional body. We have four bodies. Mm-hmm. And so I focused a lot on the spiritual body, and I focused a lot on the mental body.
But you neglected the physical body and
the emotional body. Yeah. And I didn't really care about the physical side, and the emotional side I couldn't touch.
Yeah. And that's why I think I'm in your life right now, because I have a high level of experience and training in physical healing, detoxification, emotional healing, and transformation.
Right.
And so I think God brought me in your life to really help wake up your whole being.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I did something very special with Knolly, and I want you to think about this question. When I asked Knolly this question in the story, I sat down with Knolly, I did his eye reading, and I did it with the understanding that Knolly's an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And entrepreneurs think differently. Yeah. Entrepreneurs have vision, usually. They have goals. Yeah. And the goals we have are sometimes 2 years out, 5 years out, 10 years out. And so at the end of our eye reading, I found some interesting issues for him to heal and address in his body that he didn't want to talk about, but I could see him in the eyes. Mm-hmm. And so we brought it up. We started talking about digestion, elimination. Yeah. We started talking about your adrenals and your kidney function and the signs and symptoms of weak adrenals. And we started addressing that. Like
my pooper.
Yeah, his pooper. And then I asked you, I said, Knolly, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Yeah. Now, most people, when you ask that question, they go blank. You had a clear answer. Yeah. And I knew you would, because you're an entrepreneur. Yeah. And Knolly's talking to me about books he's going to publish, places he's going to travel and teach, masterminds he's going to form. Yeah. Which you now have one forming. Absolutely. You know, but this was 2 years ago when you hadn't built this yet. No, I didn't. And so I asked Knolly about his vision, and I looked him in the eye and I said, Knolly, and this question's for you too. Do you have the health, vitality, the energy to make that vision manifest? Mm-hmm. To make that 10-year amazing dream of serving your community and helping thousands of entrepreneurs succeed? Do you have the health and the vitality to get there? And he stopped for a second and realized, no, I don't.
No, I don't. Yeah. And if we've heard it before, if we don't take care of this body, where else are we going to live? Yeah. And
we only get one body. Yeah. It's our home and our temple.
Yeah. And regardless of what we intellectually think about the unimportance of the body, it's very important. And the body is what allows us physically to be able to make all these other dreams come true. And if we don't have health, my dad died at 49 years old. Mm-hmm. I know what bad health looks like. Yeah. And if we don't have the health and vitality to do that which God put us on earth to do, who are we kidding? Yeah.
So in part one of this video, I think it's important for us to ask people who are watching to actually get a vision for your life. Yeah. Get a clear vision of where you want to go in your business. Mm-hmm. And then do some personal inventory around your physical health and just ask yourself, do you have the clarity of mind? Do you have the strength of your physical body? Do you have the energy every day to fulfill that? And if you don't, we'd like to help you with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
time to have the mental clarity, the physical strength, the emotional resilience, the emotional power, and of course the spiritual power.
Absolutely, for sure.
Discovering your divine destiny.
Yes.
All these things work together. So when I asked you that question, what switched for you? Like when I sat down and did that vision exercise, what happened?
Well, that was a paradigm shift for me, where I began to immediately start thinking differently and acting differently.
Yeah.
You know, I started, and it was basically, as Gary Keller teaches and many other people teach, you know, you have to have a big why. You have to have a big enough why to, and that's the reason why when you look at the chart that I created, at the very center of it is you, okay? And then there's a question mark right at your heart level.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you doing all this? Why are you doing all this? Because if you don't have a why for why you're achieving what you want or what you say you want, then not only will you never achieve it, but you won't even have the motivation to achieve it. Yeah. And so for me, it was like I had certain things that I wanted to do, but I knew I didn't have the health to get there. And in that instance, I realized that not only was I kidding myself, but I was letting down God Almighty, you know, my master, my mentor. And I was also letting down my students. I was letting you down, because here I am, a half healthy person, claiming, getting in front of you and teaching something and not really living the full life. And I didn't see it as a fakery or as being disingenuous.
You were just ignorant.
Ignorance
is bliss.
Yeah. So if I want to eat, and I'm not putting down necessarily what people eat, because the best thing, I think the best answer you gave me when I asked you, I said, well, what do I have to give up? Because most of us, when we think about this journey, and the reason why a lot of you guys don't email me about healthy questions, even though you see some of the posts that I have that are health related, is because myself included, we don't want to give up anything.
Right.
And so it's like, well, wait a minute, what am I going to give up? And a lot of times people have to get to a place, like the friend that called us last night when we were just getting in, almost 10 o'clock at night, just getting into the house, about his health failing. And he's at not necessarily the end of his rope, but more or less he's at the end of his rope in terms of choices, and now he's ready to make a choice. Yeah. Why not make that choice when you still have life in you to make it? So to answer your question, my thoughts were really centered around, I really am being a phony because I'm missing out, or I'm leaving out one of the most important ingredients, which is my own, physical health and well-being. And when I started to understand how the physical body connected to the emotional body, which I never could touch.
And we did that in the eye reading, because we looked at certain parts of the iris, and I found some physical blocks. I found some emotional blocks in those physical blocks. Yeah. And then we started moving and clearing them in the session. Right. And that was your epiphany. It's like, oh, the physical body and the emotional body and the mental body and the spiritual body are all one fluid connection. It's all connected.
Absolutely.
And so what you eat and drink affects how you think and feel. Yeah. And what you think and feel will eventually change what you eat and drink. And it's one fluid connection.
Absolutely.
And so after, and this is really moving on to part 2, after we met, then I invited both you and Josefina to do a life transformation. And that's really what I'm about. Yeah. With what I teach, is I teach life transformation.
Absolutely.
I teach transformation. And so I invited Josefina to do some deeper detoxification and cleansing using new things that she'd never done before. Right. And then I invited both of you into that conversation. Yeah. And you both went on this amazing life transformation.
Absolutely.
You started to experience new ways of thinking and eating and fasting and cleansing and detoxifying. And so tell me how that was. Like, what was it like starting that? It was about a 6-month journey. For me, it was a rebirth. It was really a rebirth. And it was similar to when I came to the Lord, when I came to know the Lord, when I made Jesus the master of my life and started following him and his teachings. When he became master and I became student, pupil. Now when this new change came along, and it's quite interesting because even though you can be I consider myself very spiritual,
Been teaching Bible for teaching the scriptures for 29 years, teaching other people the deep, advanced things that are contained of the scriptures.
Yeah.
Yet here I am, not really being genuine in other areas. And God made us as a total package.
Yeah.
And so my emotional body, don't talk about that.
Yeah. Let me just keep hiding a little. And I don't want to shine yet.
Yeah. And let me just put all my mastery into the spirit and the
mind.
And the mind. And so it was really a shift, because what opened up for me was the areas that I had neglected.
Yeah.
The emotional body opened up, and the physical body opened up. And so when I started learning about the herbs, started learning about
live foods.
Yeah. That's really the key, the backbone, the backstory of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Is the live, raw, or organic foods. Learned about that. Started learning about the subconscious mind, the power of your subconscious mind.
Also fasting.
Fasting. Yeah.
And not water fasting or juice fasting, but just removing inflammatory foods out of your diet. Like I was teaching you how to use food as medicine, and then start incorporating just simple ways of eating, fruits and smoothies, and different levels of fasting, because not everybody's ready for a water fast or juice fast, but you can actually fast just on food by removing certain key inflammatory foods.
Absolutely. And which brings me to remember that I didn't close that thought that I had earlier, which was one of the best things you told me when I asked you, what do I have to give up eating?
Yeah.
Do I have to stop eating cheeseburger? Do I have to stop eating pizza? Do I have to give up coffee? And
what did I say?
You said, Knolly, you don't have to give up anything.
Yeah.
That's what you told me. And you don't have to give up anything. I was like, woo, I like that one. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Where do I sign?
Yeah.
And the thing was, and the statement is absolutely true. We don't have to do anything. The question is, what is my highest and best choice? And that is a question that I continue to ask myself for every meal. It makes it easy.
Yeah.
So right now I'm about to have a meal. What is my highest and best choice right now?
Yeah. And for most people, their highest and best choice in the morning is something full of water.
Yeah.
Melons, smoothies, juices. It's like instead of going to coffee or tea or stimulants, go to the living water in a nice, fresh, ripe watermelon, cantaloupe. Do a blueberry banana smoothie. Go to a fresh green juice with celery, apple, and lemon, and hydrate. And because water is life, and water is and electrolytes in the living fruits and juices are energy. So you started making these changes, and I didn't say you had to take anything away.
Right.
I said just add these things in for breakfast.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty, is once you have the thing about health that I really brought for both of you is people do the right things in the wrong order, and they're confused about what really helps them heal and thrive. And so I was here to help teach you some of the laws of nature, which are God's laws, some of the laws of biochemistry, the laws of detoxification, and then I just said add these things in, and then what happened as you started adding all these things in your lifestyle?
Yeah, when I started adding in things that I'd never eaten before, like watermelon, cantaloupe, fresh berries,
smoothies,
bananas, smoothies, elixirs, herbs, and tonics, tinctures, and all this other stuff. Well, the tinctures came later.
Yeah.
When I started adding these things, my body went nuts, and it wanted more.
Yeah, so you started craving.
Yeah, it wanted more.
So it wasn't about giving up. It was just about tricking you to add these things
Absolutely.
in that give life to your body, which give life to your emotional body, which give life to your mental body, which then give life to your business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so as I incorporated all those things, the new things, I didn't crave a cheeseburger. I didn't crave the pizza. I didn't crave the, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I consciously realized that I could have those things anytime I wanted. It's not a diet. It's not like you can't eat this and you can't eat that. It's more about listening to your body and letting your body say, hey, buddy, I'm the body, right? And you want to achieve this dream of reaching 10 million entrepreneurs, business owners, business leaders around the world. Here's the program that I would like today.
Yeah.
And the body will speak to you and tell you.
Absolutely, yeah. So you went from a 4-cylinder to an 8-cylinder to a 12-cylinder, and then you were giving your body the fuel to fire on all 12
Absolutely.
cylinders. Yeah, because the living juices, fruits, melons, berries, smoothies, salads, puddings, porridges, parfaits, like all these things I shared with you over
Right.
a period of 6 months, and it started fine-tuning your engine.
Absolutely.
Like your physical engine,
Yeah.
which is your emotional, mental, and spiritual engine.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all connected. Like you can have spiritual health but not have physical health.
Right.
You can have great physical health but not have spiritual health.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I shared with you and what you began to awaken to was like all of that. So you went through this transformation, you did some detoxification,
Mm-hmm.
and then what happened as you started to experience the detoxification in your body? Like, what did you notice?
Yeah, let's talk about the physical side
Yeah.
and the emotional side.
Yeah.
So what I noticed immediately, one of the key issues that I had was my pooper wasn't working right. You know,
Your constipation. Yeah.
and so when we first had our first meeting, Artemis looked at me and he said, "Well, you did an eye reading, so we might have to talk a little bit about this." So
Mm-hmm.
it just so turns out. And a lot of people were kind of spooked out about this, or it's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from a Christian background, I was like, "Oh, you can't be," you know. Well, I've understood that what God created in the human eye, okay, we're talking about the eye here,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the
Iris,
the
and,
iris
and the eyeball.
and the eyeball.
Yeah.
And what God created was a map of the entire human body, and we shouldn't wonder that it's. I mean, obviously, some things are. Too fantastic, or
Yeah.
they're almost unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
However, when you see the beauty of God, and when you start to look at atoms, and you start looking at molecules, and you
And
start
the
looking
organization of the universe.
Yeah,
the
and the-
organization of the body.
and the molecular structure of things,
Yeah.
when you look at the fact that the eyeball itself is really not a seeing organ, it's just an extension of your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Your eyeball is part of your brain. Just look
Yeah.
at how it's wired. So anyway,
So we found some issues in your iris.
when you looked at my
analysis.
when you looked at my, you took pictures of my eye, you mapped it out, and you saw very specifically some issues in my body.
Uh-huh.
One of the bigger issues was my colon. It turns out that I had a kink, okay, in my colon.
Mm-hmm.
And so you asked me, you were like, how do you eliminate, you know? And you and I, you know, we talk about everything. So we're talking about poop right now.
Mm-hmm.
You said, how do you eliminate? And I said, well, perfectly fine, no problem. Never had any problems there.
Mm-hmm.
And you looked at me, and you looked at my eye reading again, and you looked again, and you looked at this, and you looked again, and you went. It was like you were very confused.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, I'm good, man. And guys, we don't really like to talk about that kind of
Right.
stuff.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
However, the way I was eliminating was I would have 6 bowel movements every day from about 9 o'clock to 11. But I had to drink a lot of coffee even to have those bowel movements. And honestly, I didn't think, Josie would always tell me that that's not normal. For the rest of the day, I would have no bowel movements. And so I would have these 6, I call them small batches. Like, like when you go to a brewery, like,
Yeah.
you know, I still have my occasional fine handcrafted beer, you know. They brew them in small batches. So I thought I was special, you know, I just make small batches, right? So, but turns out that I had a problem there. And so
Yeah.
I got real concerned about it. And I remember asking you,
Yeah.
I said, am I going to have surgery to correct this? Because that's the way most doctors would, you know, the doctor community, allopathic community would tell you, you got to, let's cut, let's do whatever.
Yeah.
And so you said, no, you laughed actually. You said, just start on the protocol for a couple of months and it'll be completely healed. And it was.
Yeah.
And it was. It's
So your
absolutely
digestion
amazing.
elimination just completely transformed.
My digestion and elimination transformed.
Yeah.
And what I realized is, because I didn't realize that the stomach really is connected to the emotional body too. And I had a lot of things from childhood, being an abused child, growing up.
Yeah.
I had a lot of abuse issues and things like that. So you hold those in your stomach.
Yeah.
And from as early as I can remember, I had problems eliminating, you know? And so, you know, constipation, I guess is what you call it.
Yeah.
And so that was gone within a few months.
Yeah, and so constipation is dehydration. Water represents the emotional body, and so you were emotionally holding. And so as I invited you to make the life transformation and do more living foods, more water-rich foods, you started rehydrating, and then it started affecting your emotional body too.
Absolutely.
You started to actually get more feeling.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of you watching, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you can't, it's hard, if you're feeling anxiety and fear, if you hold on to your emotions, changing what you eat can help you let go. And as you let go, you actually become more fired up. You become more emotionally congruent. You, instead of holding on to grief, sadness, and yearning, or I can't, it's hard, you start bringing in grief into joy.
Yeah.
I can't into I can. And those few little extra I cans can make a huge difference for your business.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so things started shifting in your business too.
Yeah.
During this time.
Yeah. So what happens is when you start getting healthier and you start seeing these possibilities, what happens is you start realizing that there's more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you start realizing that I can maybe go a little further than I thought.
Yeah, because you were just coasting.
Yeah, I was coasting. I like coasting, and you know, my family's that way. My dad, he got his bachelor's degree, and he graduated from college, and then he coasted. Yeah, coasted throughout life. You know, he died a coaster. You know.
I saw a picture of a coaster on a table and the glass on there. Like your dad was just.
Well, Napoleon Hill would call it a drifter.
A drifter, yeah.
A drifter.
He was drifting.
Napoleon Hill would call it a drifter.
So this life transformation you went through took you out of drifting.
It completely took me out of drifting, and drifting is something that, especially when you have certain needs met. You know, like financially, I have no issues there. You know, in my life, and so it can become a pull to go ahead and drift. However, when you start getting on these living foods, man, and they start to energize and start to just explode
in your cells, in your digestion, you start to
what you want is to live to your full potential, which is something I've never done ever in my life. You know, my mom's a drifter. You know, she loves to drift. And coast.
And I think every business owner, and for those watching, drifting is normal.
It's normal.
And yet, if you stay drifting too long, you lose independence of choice, you lose your edge, and you actually lose your ability to feel happy and fulfilled.
Absolutely.
Because fulfillment and happiness comes through serving your highest potential.
That's absolutely right.
Serving your clients, your family, your business, and your community. And there's really 5 levels of service. God, your body, and your physical well-being, mental and emotional well-being, and then your family, then your business, then your community. So if you're putting your business and your family before your body, that's very interesting. That's compromising your body's health. If you're putting your family and your business before your spiritual connection, then you're going to lose out on the full potential of your family and your business. And
so I would always teach God, family, business. So you've actually introduced some more things in there.
God, body, physical, mental, emotional well-being. And then family and business.
And then community.
And then community. Because if we don't have our physical vitality and well-being, how are we going to be able to lead and direct our family or support our family?
Absolutely.
If we don't have a healthy body and healthy family, how are we going to have a thriving business?
Absolutely.
So a lot of us are leaving out this piece, which is why I'm doing this interview with you today and sharing this with your audience, because it's time to...
Because I really don't talk about this as much with my audience. So I typically talk about the things that you guys ask me questions about. And I've gotten a few questions about my health transformation, and maybe I don't talk about it as much, or maybe I just take it for granted. But we felt it was time to really. It's been 2 years, just about, almost.
It's time to share your transformation.
Time to share, Now, when you think about the men,
you want to show some pictures?
Yeah, we can show those.
Okay, so this is Knolly like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is Knolly 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is really.
Josie's going to adjust the camera here.
This is a time when Knolly was really extremely obese.
Yeah.
I mean, fat. I mean, you're not obese here.
Hey, I was a rapper. You know, rappers got to do their thing. You got to look the part, right?
Before pictures.
Yeah, no doubt. And when you think about that, think about this, guys. This was me 20 years ago, okay? We're talking about right now, I'm 48. This was me at 28, okay? And which is more healthy, right? There's another one. Hey, there you go, Macho Man, baby, huh? I think we got one more to show.
And you've been really in a place of, you did a lot of healing from this place.
Yes, I did.
But now, in your current stage of transformation, it's about alignment of your body, your physical vitality, your emotional intelligence, fitness, and transformation. And now you're at a whole new level.
There's one more. This is the one that I don't like.
The back rolls.
The one, This is the one I don't like. So when some of my students and everything, they see me, and they're like, man, you're so thin, you're so fit, you're so healthy. It's like, hey, I know how to be a big boy now. I've been there, done that, and that's not to the highest and best service of you, of my community.
Yeah.
And what I'm really stating, to be quite frank with you, what I'm really stating, when I allow myself to get into that state that I allow myself to get into, is that I don't love God the way I say I do.
Yeah, you didn't love your body.
I don't love my body the way I say I do. Mm-hmm. I don't love my family the way I say I do.
Yeah.
I don't love myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way I say I do.
Yeah.
I don't love you the way that I say I do.
Yeah.
Because and again, I'm not bashing. What percentage of those listening and those of us in just in the United States, let alone Canada and around the world, are overweight? What percentage?
Yeah, it's about 50 to 60% now are obese.
Obese, yeah.
20 million Americans have diabetes. 80 million Americans have prediabetes, and many of them don't even know they're going diabetic.
Absolutely.
And all that's due to your diet, your lifestyle, your attitude.
Yeah.
The apathy, the grief, the shame, and the guilt.
Right.
That you still had some of that suppressed, and then as
I'm still working on it.
Yeah, and so like the life transformation you experienced. Let's move on to part 3 now. Your life transformation. You've been on this path for 2 years now. You've had you've had some ups and downs. You've done some fasting. You've done some healing, emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually.
I can't think of any downs.
Well, what's different now?
Like
now that you've taken what I've taught you and you've embodied it.
Absolutely.
Like you and your wife, you guys walk the walk and talk the talk now.
No doubt.
I'm actually like nudging your wife to start coaching and helping others
because it's time.
It's time. It's time to start shining and radiating and serving others, because there's so many sick people out there, and so many people in business put their business before their bodies.
Absolutely.
And that's like selling pounds of flesh.
Yeah.
That's like selling your body for success. It's very
low.
Very low. So it's like I'm here, like interviewing you to let your audience know that change is possible. Physical transformation is part of their financial transformation, and it's all connected. And so now that it's been 2 years, what's new and different? Like, what are you experiencing now that's like so amazing, fun, new and different, brand new?
I'm experiencing life, it sounds so, I don't know, I guess it sounds
cliche, or
I was going to say trite. It sounds trite, but the reality is I'm experiencing life, and I didn't experience life before. See, here's the thing: when the path that I was on before was all about proving, and I thought I was proving. Really, I didn't think I was proving anything. I thought I was just, I got to be number one. I've got to be the top real estate agent in the office, or I've got to be the number one in the city, or number one in the state.
Yeah.
I got to be on stage, and I've got to do this and that. And it was really from an ego. It was from
you're trying to prove yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
please others.
Yeah, I was trying to please others.
Yeah.
And because as I was growing up, boy, you'll never amount to anything. You're not good enough. Stop, doing it that way. And so I was very afraid. I didn't know who I was. That's just the way I was brought up. And so I all of my life, most of my life, I've been trying to prove that I am worthy, that I have the ability to be somebody, that I can be loved.
Yeah.
And so, but I did that in ways where it was like I was trying to buy love.
Yeah. You were actually motivated from shame and guilt, and not self-love and self-confidence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so what's changed for me now is that I'm coming from a completely different perspective.
Yeah.
I do this because God has inspired me to reach you, and the same reason you do it. We do it from what we call the big self, not from ego, but from love. We realize that we serve a mighty God, and that everything that we see has become so small and become so trite. And the unseen, if you will, has become so much more important.
Yeah.
And so what I'm tapping into...
Question real quick.
Yeah.
So going from like the little self to the big self, from the seen to unseen, how did your life transformation, how did changing your nutrition and changing your diet make that shift?
Well, the way that it did, my understanding of it is that when I became healthier, guess what? My brain started working better.
Mm-hmm.
My mind started working better, and my body started working better. I started having more energy.
Mm-hmm.
I started having better thoughts. I started getting better ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, the ideas that would take me, like for example, making money. Like, a lot of you want to make money,
Mm-hmm.
and money is so easy to make.
Mm-hmm.
And I started because I had already learned how to make money. Now it's on steroids. So making money is not even it's not a conscious activity for me anymore.
Yeah.
It's something that just naturally happens. Of course, I had to learn how to do that, over time. But
so the physical health, moving upscale in your physical health, amplified everything else. Everything else started growing.
So let's talk about it. So the physical body, obviously, you've seen the pictures. You can see the changes there.
Yeah.
And that wasn't me just 2 years ago, but I've been on this journey for quite a while.
Yeah.
But in the last 2 years is when I really, it became no longer work. It's no longer effort.
Yeah.
For the physical body. The emotional body just completely opened up.
Yeah.
I started wanting to touch and feel.
Yes.
Because I never wanted to feel before.
Yeah. And so a lot of entrepreneurs are wherever you are in your success, if you don't have what you want, it's because of a subconscious block.
Absolutely.
It's an emotional block of
Absolutely.
I can't, or grief, or shame of I'm not worthy, or motivated by guilt, not valuing yourself, so you're pleasing others all the time just to be successful. And you had a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
And then you started healing your emotional body concurrently with the physical healing.
Yeah.
And then
then the mental body, I
Yeah.
thought my game was tight there and everything was good. But when you really start to get on these living foods and this living way of life,
Yeah.
the mental body explodes.
Your mind expanded.
It just expands
Yeah.
like crazy. And then the spiritual body, I'm spiritual. I don't need any more spirituality.
Yeah.
Well, that was a rude awakening for me because I realized that I was only scratching the scratch of the scratch, of the surface. And
So
I started getting into meditation and started getting,
talk about that a little bit, because a lot of people watching are spiritual. They pray, they go to church, they do their daily practices.
they love God. Yeah.
But what happened in your direct experience, your emotional experience, your mental and physical, as you did the cleaning of your temple? You did a lot of work with me, and
Absolutely.
we're still doing work together.
Absolutely.
Most of our work together is in consciousness now, because I'm really helping Knolly make sure that you stay on path, and that you achieve your highest potential. Like
Absolutely.
I'm always nudging him a little bit and helping him stretch and grow, because I see your full potential as you see mine.
Yeah.
And so something happened, though, in your experience of God, your experience of the Holy Spirit, your experience of your spirituality. Talk about that.
Yeah, it opened up in a way that I didn't even know existed.
Mm-hmm.
When I started meditation, which is really interesting because meditation called me to it, if you will. I didn't really care much about meditation. I would pray, I'd have prayer time and things like that. But I started really getting nudged toward being in a meditative state. So I went through that whole sort of period of time. And now it's like I'm in constant meditation.
Yeah.
I'm in a state.
You're in flow.
I'm in flow.
Yeah.
I'm in flow.
Now I want to tell the audience.
My heart opened up and it's for the first time I was able to feel God at a level that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's ever expanding right now.
Ever expanding.
Like you're feeling
Ever
him
expanding, yeah.
in ways that, and right now there's a vibration in our interview, and I know you can, those of you watching, there's a direct experience. When the body becomes clean, the mind becomes quiet. And when the mind is quiet through a healthy body, then we start to get more focused, more aligned with the divine, and more clear in how we receive that communication in that direction.
Yeah.
And that's where your vision comes in. That's where all of the 8 pillars of Knolly's system really start to fully integrate and activate. And it really starts with your spirituality and your body.
Yeah.
Your connection to your why, your divinity, your creator, and then also your physical health. And I think I should talk a little bit about how that is in biochemistry, because your body is acid alkaline, and you have 2 fluids. You have 100 trillion cells and 2 fluids. And the blood is the kitchen, the lymph is the sewer. And if you've been consuming bread, pasta, rice, sugar, flour, coffee, alcohol, if you've been over-consuming acid-forming foods in that list, what happens is your body becomes too acidic, which is like a battery in your car. An acid battery is hot and fast. So your car wants to start quickly. Well, that causes your mind to race. You're worrying all the time. You can't stop thinking. And you start to lose your ability to be still, to be present, to be focused. So what happened this 2 years of working with me is you went, and it really happened in the first 3 months, is you started making the shift from acid battery to more alkaline battery. The alkaline battery is the battery in our cell phones and our flashlights. It runs cool and slow. And so for those of you who have problems sleeping, problems waking, your mind is racing, you're reaching for stimulants, you're just too acid.
Worry?
Yeah, worry and fear. If you had, and so shifting your body's battery through a living foods and high water foods and the things that I teach is going to shift your capacity to be present, to enhance your intuition, to be still and know God in your body, because it's essentially an alkaline state that may take you anywhere from 3 to 6 months of lifestyle corrections. And keep in mind, you don't have to take anything away. You just start adding.
Yeah.
You just start adding things, and so
that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And so trying to articulate the change is difficult for me, even though I love to articulate. I've always been, another point I want to mention is I've always been an intellectual. I've always gone more from the intellect. By nature, I'm more of a scientist, a chemist, or an engineer by nature. So I always want to know how things work. Why did they work? Why did they work that way, and to what degree? And when you get to a point where you realize you don't know, I can't use any expletives on the video, but you don't know nothing, man.
Yeah.
You don't, this tiny little 8-ounce, you take all the water out of the brain, what does it weigh? Not very much. This little tiny thing, this organ,
3 to 5 pound organ,
and you're trying to run your entire life from a 3-pound organ, trying to understand. You take all the water out, it's probably 8 ounces. Yeah. You're trying to understand the entire, the universe or the things that are so far beyond us.
Yeah.
And so one of the big expanses for me has been allowing intuition to take place, allowing my body just to do what it does. Not too long ago, I was walking on a boardwalk, and I got a big thorn in my foot. Some of y'all saw the Facebook post on that. It's a couple of years ago. And a big splinter got in my foot, and my body healed that.
Yeah.
What my body did was it actually created a channel that was about 3 inches long. It looked like a straw. And the doctor called it a sinus. The body created its own sinus so that what it could do is it could pump out any toxins that were getting into the infection and pump it to the exterior of my foot.
Yeah.
And I didn't think of that. That was no ingenuity of my own. I wasn't the genius that thought that. My body did that all by itself.
Yeah.
God created that to happen.
Your body is self-healing and self-regenerating.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now you think about a rose. When a rose blooms, when it blossoms, when it comes into to what it is. See, a rose is a rose. Why does a rose bloom? You think, try to answer that on an intellectual level. Why does a rose bloom? It's almost a dumb question, right? A rose blooms because it's a rose.
Yeah.
That's what roses do.
By its design.
And so, I had a guy, and I get this sometimes, like, well, you learned all this stuff, why would you be giving it away? Why would you be sharing what you know with other people? There must be a catch.
Yeah.
Well, why does a rose bloom? Well, we share because that's what God designed us to do.
Yeah.
God designed us not to hoard, but to share.
And to give.
I like what Russell Brunson says. He says, you've amassed all this information. You've amassed all this knowledge. You know all these things. Now, the safe thing to do would be to keep it all to yourself.
Yeah.
That would be safe. And Jesus put it this way: freely you have given, freely give. And so, so that's what that's what we're about. We're about changing the world, and it's more than just us. Right? Yeah. And sometimes there'll be a little bit of exchange with that. We talked earlier. You off camera, we were commenting about this whole money thing. Money vibrates at such a low frequency. Those of you that start to understand vibration, frequency, energy, and that, money is not even real. That we just get that out. We live in a fiat system, And so the paper money that you have is not even a real thing.
It's an expression of value so that we can have the exchange of goods and services.
It's an expression of value. Yeah. And the value that it has is only the value that we give it.
That we give it.
Yeah. And so when I see a little piece of paper with a 20 written on it, it really has no real value, no intrinsic value.
Yeah.
But it has value in our mind. And so a lot of times I'll tell my students, hey, you can exchange a few of these paper notes in exchange for this product or service or something.
Which is going to transform your real estate business and your life.
Absolutely.
And generate 10 to 100 to 1,000 times more profit.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so what you're doing is you're making an uneven exchange. I'm exchanging something with my audience that's not even real. It might be a $100 product or a $500 product.
Yeah.
They're exchanging something it's real to them. I mean, it is real. I mean, in terms of the fact that we can spend it, we can touch it, we can see it, stuff like that. But you're going to give so much more value in exchange for that. See, the
so
secret.
This is a good question to ask next: is of the money you've invested in your health,
Absolutely.
using the protocols that I've shared with you,
because
you have invested money.
I have.
What's the return on that investment in value?
Oh, it's you couldn't even equate it.
Yeah, it's priceless.
It's priceless.
Yeah, I mean, because a friend of yours just has gallbladder removed.
Yeah.
20 million people have diabetes. 1 out of 3
and you know what the doctor told him?
Yeah.
That's just a part that it's just extra.
Yeah.
You don't need a gallbladder.
Yeah.
Which
is actually an illusion that the doctor believes.
Right.
Because every organ is vital. That's why they call it our vital organs.
Absolutely.
And
and so in the medical industry, and I'm not bashing the medical industry. If you're in the medical industry, I'm not bashing you.
Yeah.
What I've seen, what I've noticed, like when my tonsils were taken out, tonsils are nothing. Well, now that I've started reading and I studied a book of a guy that's been for 30 years studying the tonsils. Wait a minute, those do something. The gallbladder does something.
Yeah.
So a gallbladder surgery makes the hospital what, 30 grand?
Yep, about $30,000.
$30,000 per surgery. They may not bill out that much, but that's how much they're altogether that they can earn. But yet they're taking something away. So you're exchanging a gallbladder. They're making $30,000, and you're losing a gallbladder. That's an uneven exchange.
Totally.
That's an uneven exchange.
Whereas true entrepreneurship is giving 2 to 3 times the value for the money you're asking for.
Absolutely. And that's what I teach you is that you have to exchange value for value. I went on this kick where I started giving everything away for free. That went over like a, that didn't go over real well because people did not have any kind of attachment of value to it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, I've invested real money into my health.
Yeah.
Real money, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And since then you've created a system, because you and I have talked about this.
Yeah.
It's like, how can we make this
more affordable?
More affordable. I was almost going to say like Henry Ford. How can we make this affordable for the common man? Like we're all common. But for somebody that doesn't have $10,000 sitting in their bank account where they can just say, here's 10 grand for all the books and seminars and tapes and coaching. And I've already had 2 certifications where I've flown and had certification, week-long classes and certifications in health and so on like that. For a person that doesn't have 10, 20 grand just laying around.
How can they do this?
Well,
the Living Well Method.
The Living Well Method, absolutely.
Yeah, so this is a program that's going to help you with the life transformation, to help you get more mental clarity, more focus, more energy, more vitality, and most importantly, start changing breakfast.
Yeah.
Start changing what you put in your engine. And
in your temple.
It's based in 8 pillars. And we have digestion is pillar number 1, and then followed by living water, which is purifying the water in your kitchen, home, and garden. And then balancing the nervous system, learning how the most powerful techniques to reduce stress that I've cultivated over 18 years of science and research and experience with 30,000 people. And this Living Well method is built in a very specific order, because the reason people are not getting well today, it's not because we don't have the information. You can go to Dr. Google and type in arthritis or constipation, and you're going to get 480,000 posts of different people's opinions and research on how to heal that condition. But it may not be the right information in the right order. That's why people are not getting well. We're drowning in information without discernment. Because remember, in your business and in your health, discernment is more important than knowledge. So I created the Living Well method to give you the right information in the right order, so that by the time you go through module 1 and 2, you have the training of like 2 doctors.
Yeah.
Because I have the training of like 3 doctors after 18 years and 45,000 hours of professional research and experience, and I've worked in about 3 different clinics, and so, you know, we're making a special offer for you to tap the living well.
Absolutely.
To tap the living well of life, to get the right information in the right order for your physical health and your spiritual health, that then's going to translate to your business and your family. So when your connection to your why and God is strong, then you go to your body. When your body gets strong, then you go to your family and business, and all the dominoes start moving. And if you're not taking care of your body right now, it's time to take better care of your body. But be careful who you listen to out there, because there's a lot of people teaching you paleo and keto and high carb and low carb, and like, who do you know? What do you know to do? Like, how do you know who to listen to? And it's important to listen to people who have what you desire and have been where you are. And I believe that's you and I. Like, we've been walking this path long enough. We've seen what not to do with our health.
Yeah.
And
I look at my wife. You know, when my wife met you, she was diabetic on diabetes medication.
Chronic pain in her lower back.
Chronic pain. Yeah.
Yeah.
She had high blood pressure, and she was taking medication for that.
Yeah.
Her hormones were out of whack, as happens with a lot of females.
Mature women. Yeah.
Mature women. And there was some other issues that she had.
Yeah.
But she was on 4 medications. She's on no medications.
Yeah.
You know, and
now she's pain free.
Pain free.
Yeah. Her blood sugar's balanced.
I mean, because we travel so much, and we would have to pick a hotel room based on the type of bed that they had. You know, and that was because I made all the travel plans. You know, it was like, okay, you know, I'm thinking, crap, you know, how's this bed going to be? Because if we go to a place and we didn't have the right kind of bed, it was not a fun vacation or a fun trip, because she's in pain, you know. And I didn't know what to do about it. Like, as men, we want to fix everything.
Right.
But what are you going to do? Your wife comes to you and says, "I'm in pain today."
Yeah.
You know, how are you going to fix that for her? You can't. You know. But you know, through the knowledge that God has given you, you know, you've helped her heal.
Yeah.
You've shown her the body does the healing.
Absolutely.
Make no mistake about it. You know, Artemis doesn't heal you. I don't heal you. Your body's going to heal you. I mean, God has already wired it that way. God has given your body the intelligence to do what it needs to do, if you give your body what it needs to do what it needs to do.
Yeah, we have a special offer below this video to join the Living Well and to start tapping the well of life and healing and knowledge. Because you're right, like, healers and coaches and doctors don't heal. The body is self-healing when you learn the right information in the right order in your kitchen and in your environment. You start changing and building a healthy environment. And it really starts with just breakfast. It just starts with the meal plans and the videos, and everything I give you is step by step. And you can experience a life transformation just like Knolly and Josefina did.
Yeah.
And maybe even better, you know, because the sky's the limit when
sky's the limit.
When you start applying this information.
Yeah.
And so look below this video for a link for the Living Well method, and to jump in and start experiencing your life transformation and your life of greater energy, greater clarity, even greater spiritual connection, and more importantly, a body that has the vitality, the vigor, the energy to perform more and do more for your business, for your family, for your life.
Yeah, and for the God you serve.
Yeah.
Hey, Knolly Williams here, Arttemis Kassane, and we're inspiring you to become all God created you to be, so that you can live the life that you were meant to live. Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah, jump in, take action, heal yourself, and you're going to encounter setbacks. You might experience some challenges and some problems along the way. So in my Living Well method, I offer coaching calls where I actually, if you're struggling with cravings, if you're struggling with your family, if you think you don't have enough time, if you're not prioritizing for yourself, you can get support through my coaching calls. You can get support through my team and my staff. And we have a solution for every setback. We really do.
Absolutely.
It's in the videos, it's in the support system, it's in the coaching calls. Now you're probably asking yourself, well, what if I don't have enough time to do this?
Yeah.
And really the investment is about 15 minutes a day in one video a day. And it's about 20 to 30 minutes in just making smoothies and juices. And just adding these in can make the biggest impact, the biggest change for your health. And if you have a special like disease, if you have something you're really challenged with, there's a special offer for coaching with me at a 50% discount. You can get a special coaching session and get the support you need, get your questions answered. So wherever your life is at, if you're overwhelmed, if you don't have time, if you're on medications, if you have a disease, there are answers to each one of those questions, and there are ways in which you can jump in and do this work. Because your health is your most valuable asset.
Absolutely.
So many people put more money in their car. They get the oil change, they get the radiator flushed, but they don't actually flush and heal the body. So many people invest in their homes and their TVs and their vacations, but they're eating at steakhouses and fast food and Cokes and cookies and pastries and pies. And it's so much more rewarding to make these investments in yourself, to do the work, so that by the time you get to the top of the mountain and you have that $1 million empire, you now have the energy and the health to enjoy it. Absolutely. Imagine, Knolly,
long term.
Imagine if you didn't do the work with me and you kept going downhill, but you got more successful. By the time you had maybe 1 million followers, but you didn't have the energy. Imagine what that would be like.
It's not success.
It's not true success.
It's a false sense of success. And I guarantee you, anyone that's gone down that path with 1 million plus followers, but the bad health, would trade all of it for the health. All of it. And that's the reason, when you started putting this method together, I mean, because of most of you don't know Arttemis and the circles that he runs in, the people he knows and the people he's learned from and his rich history. But to get in with this guy was a minimum. I mean, you're talking $5,000 investment. To get a nice program put together for. I mean, it's a minimum. That's a starting level. And you're coaching entrepreneurs, CEOs, and major people. And so when you and I started talking about you putting this thing together, you started talking about putting it together, and I started kind of giving you, okay, here's what you can do, and you charge less than I do for something that to me is infinitely more valuable. I mean, I have a coaching group. I'm just teaching people how to make more money. You're teaching them how to have health and vitality for not even, and you're offering a lot more in terms of the coaching calls. I don't even have the coaching calls and stuff like that in my package.
And the reason I do that is because it's my heart. Like the people have questions, because more information doesn't mean more health. And so after 18 years and serving in 3 clinics and working with the finest holistic medical doctors in the world, like I've had some of the best mentors in the world in health that most people don't even have access to today. Some of the clinics even shut down now. And so the coaching calls are here to make sure that you get your questions answered and you have the right information in the right order. That it's that one domino, like Gary Keller says. What's your one thing you can do for your health, such that by doing it, everything else would be easier and necessary? If you haven't read the book, read the one thing. Well, the Living Well method, that's your one thing in 8 pillars. Every pillar is giving you the one thing, the most powerful thing you can do for your digestion, which is going to help everything else. The most powerful thing you can do for your water, which is going to clear all the toxins out of your home and kitchen. And then what's the one thing for your nervous system, your stress reduction, and what's going to make meditation fun and easy for you. So it's like that the coaching calls and the system I created is to give you that one thing. It's to give you that. And that's really my gift to you and Josefina and your business. Is I brought that discernment, like, no, focus here through the eye readings, and okay, now focus here, and now we just kept drilling down until you have this level of clarity and performance and success in your business. And that's why we're doing this call today, is to give you this gift to you that I've given to Knolly. It's like it's time to share the insights, the discernment, the health, the wellness that will then translate into so many parts of your business. So
absolutely. And it's my commitment when we talk about the 4 bodies, it's always been my commitment, physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, to align myself with the best people in each of those departments, and to bring my audience the best of those. And from a physical standpoint, this guy is the best. He's the best I've seen. I mean, and for 20 plus years, we've been, or I know Josie, my wife, Josefina, has been on this health path, and this is the top of the mountain.
Yes, it is.
What you're bringing is the top of the mountain.
So. And it's simple. It's easy to do. You can do it in 15 to 20 minutes a day with your meals. And you're also getting a master class. You're getting a life transformation in the execution of the Living Well method that adds life to your years and years to your life.
Absolutely. And those of us that have studied the martial arts, it really is a Bruce Lee method. And that's what I look for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I teach my students drink from many fountains. You know, what Bruce Lee did, what he brought to the martial arts community, before Bruce Lee, everybody was doing their own style. Like, I do Kung Fu, I do Karate, I do Tai Chi or Taekwondo, or I do whatever it is. And Bruce Lee said, well, I'm going to take the best punch from this art, and I'm going to take the best kick from this art, and I like Muay Thai boxing. I'm going to take the, you know, some of the elbow moves from that. And he created a style which is called Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist. And the style that Bruce Lee created is a mixed martial art. Now everybody knows mixed martial arts, but when Bruce Lee introduced it, everybody was, all the martial arts communities were against him because we can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, that's mixed. And what you do is you actually take you study everything.
Yeah.
And you take the best elements of, and you try them, you test them. You look at the clinical trials and the studies and so on.
Everything's been tested and proven.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you make it easy.
Yeah.
I like the easy button.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're ready for your own life transformation, just look below this video. And thank you for watching this video today.
Thank you.
And also, we'll be back doing some more videos
Absolutely.
for success
We need to.
mastery, and helping you grow in your health, in your wealth, in your mindset, and most importantly, in discovering your divine destiny. And now you know that your body, your temple of the Most High Living God. It actually says that in Corinthians.
Yeah.
And I think chapter 11, it says your body is a temple of the Most High Living God.
Yeah.
And now you have a way through my work with Knolly and the Living Well method to get that temple like a 12-cylinder, or a 10-cylinder engine just firing and humming every day with the energy and the vitality you need to heal and thrive at all levels of life.
Yeah. We owe it to ourselves, our God, and our family.
Absolutely.
And our community.
And our community.
Love y'all.
See you soon.